Hello, my name's Mrs Owen and I'm Head of PE here at Beverley High School, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about Gcse Pe. The first thing to mention is that it involves both practical and theoretical elements to it. So 60% of your total mark will be on the theory side and 40% on the practical. So at the end of year 11 you will sit 2 written theory papers, and the 40% will be assessed on your practical ability in 3 different sports. In terms of the practical activities, you are assessed on a team sport, an individual sport, and then another one of your choice. And if you're still thinking, is this the right course for me, and you're still a little bit undecided, then I would say if you feel like you are enthusiastic in PE lessons and you really enjoy participating but also competing in a range of sports, then I'm sure that you would enjoy this course. The other thing is that you will get an extra practical lesson compared to other Year 10 students who don't choose this option. So it's a chance to get outside of the classroom, be a bit more practical than what you might be in other subjects. In terms of which practical activities you can choose, you will study some in school, and we will go through those with you in school, but you can also use activities that you might be participating in outside of school, such as equestrian, swimming, types of different styles of dance. And I'll go through those in a bit more detail in a minute. The theoretical elements, there are 2 papers and they cover a wide range of topics from sports psychology to anatomy and physiology to physical training. And again, I'm now going to take you through those in a little bit more detail. So what are some of the reasons why you might pick Gcse Pe? Well, you might enjoy participating and competing in a wide range of sports. You might have a goal that you'd like to reach a certain level in your sport or physical activity, even perhaps be aiming for the Olympics in the future. You may find that you're really interested in the theory behind sport and what makes people great champions. Or you might have already decided that you'd like to do something with sport or PE as a future career. So how is Gcse Pe different to the core PE lessons that you do in Key Stage 3 now? So the first main difference is that you'll study both practical and theory elements in sport and physical activity, and at the moment you just do the practical mainly. You'll be required to perform in competitive situations against other Gcse students and also potentially against other students in other schools. You will also study a lot more advanced skills and techniques than what you would do in Key Stage 3 and what you've done in previous PE lessons. So here's an overview of the course. We use the OCR exam board, and there are 3 units in total. 2 are the theory papers, and the 3rd unit is based on the practical activity and something called the AEP. So the theory units, the first one, paper 1, is based on applied anatomy and physiology and physical training. So training methods, physical tests for the different types of components in fitness. The 2nd unit is on social cultural influences and sports psychology, and also health, fitness and well-being, and that is also a 1-hour written paper. 40% then of the rest of the total overall mark will be based on your practical activity assessment, and also a piece of controlled assessment coursework called the AEP. So in terms of the practical unit and which kind of activities you could study. So remember, the practical unit is worth 40% of your overall mark, and you are assessed in 3 different activities. 1 has to be team, 1 individual and another. You don't need to decide on which 3 these will be until you enter into year 11. In school, the activities that we study are netball, football, hockey, badminton, athletics, and possibly dance and trampolining depending on numbers and student interest in those activities. It is strongly advised that you need to participate and compete in at least 1 sport or activity outside of school, and then be prepared to practice other sports in school through the extracurricular clubs that we run. This will enable you to obtain the best possible mark for your practical. Now, even though we study those 7 sports in school, you may be participating in a different sport outside of school, and you can use this and be assessed in this. You would need to provide video evidence of you participating and competing in that sport, though, outside of school. This is the full list of team activities which you would be able to use and would be able to be assessed in for the OCR syllabus. So you can see there's a big range of different team activities down there, and some of you may well play some of these sports outside of school. Just to mention that if you were selecting something like squash or tennis, you could only use that once. So you couldn't be assessed in it for singles and doubles as two different activities. So again, this is the full list for individual activities that you might select some activities from. And in the past, we have had students that have used gymnastics, for example, skiing, definitely swimming, squash, and lots of students usually do equestrian. We always have one or two students that do equestrian each year. As I said, for those kind of activities, you would need to do video yourself doing skills and competing, and provide evidence of that for us to be able to then watch that and assess you. So what exactly and how are you assessed for these practical activities? Well, there's 4 different criteria that we have to look at when we are assessing you in an activity, and those are, first of all, the range of skills you can perform in that activity, the quality of skills, so how accurately can you perform those skills, can you perform them consistently all of the time. 3, your physical fitness and psychological control as well, so we have to look at this when we're assessing you. And this is to enable you to be able to perform those skills effectively. Can you perform those skills throughout a whole match? Or does your fitness prevent you from doing that towards the end of the match? And then the 4th one is decision making. So in terms of those skills, do you apply those skills in the right situation in the game? You also have to complete a piece of controlled assessment in Year 11. It's called the AEP. This coursework involves you analysing your own performance in an activity of your choice. It takes about 14 hours to complete and has to be done in school under the teacher's supervision. If you have really good knowledge of your sport and your activity and you've played and trained in it for many years, this is a great opportunity to show off your knowledge of your own sport and apply that to the different theoretical units that you've studied in the classroom. This is worth 10%. Of the overall mark. So in terms of the theory, just to give you a little bit more information on the kind of topics that you might study, remember this is worth 60% of your overall mark. We have 2 papers. So paper 1 is focused on anatomy and physiology and physical training, and paper 2 is called the social cultural influences, sports psychology, health, fitness and well-being. So just to give you a flavour of the kind of topics, an example of a topic that you might study from paper 1, so applied anatomy and physiology. We first of all start by learning the major bones and muscles on the body, and then we try and apply this to then sporting actions. So for example, you might have to do something called a movement analysis, where you study a picture or a video of a performer, and you would have to explain the joint movement, say, occurring at the knees in this picture here. You would have to explain what the type of joint that the knee is, and which muscles are working to perform the movement that she's doing in this long jump. So that's just an example of a topic that you would study on that first paper. For paper 2, there's a whole wide range of topics. Social cultural topics are to do with the different factors that affect participation in sport. So what things might prevent people from participating or encourage them to. Look at a whole range of different factors, such as gender, and also things like finance, and the effect of media on sport, and how all of that affects your participation. This one here, as an example, is the sports psychology unit, and a topic that we study is how athletes prepare themselves mentally before a competition. So they use various techniques to help them to focus, to relieve their nerves, to improve their confidence, and overall to increase their chances of success. The 4 different mental preparation techniques we look at are selective attention, mental rehearsal, imagery, and positive thinking. So some of you may have used some of those already in sports that you compete in. If you want to delve further into all the different topics that we study on the theory paper, you can get some more detailed information on that if you just click on the link below, which is the OCR Gcse Pe 9:1 syllabus. And that has all the different topics on there that you will be studying. So if you enjoyed Gcse Pe and you want to take it further and looking at a possible career in PE or sport, these are just some of the examples of the careers that you could go on to. You can also study OCR A-Level PE at Beverley High School if you are interested in a career. So thank you for listening through the information that I've been through and the video, and I hope you found it useful and helped you to decide on your GCSE options. If you do have any more questions, if you're unsure whether the course is suitable for you, then please contact any of the PE department at the high school or email us, and we'll be happy to answer any more questions that you have. And we hope to see some of you studying our GCSE PE course next year.